Every single day, humans produce over 5 million tons of trash. Plastic, food waste, electronics. Everything we touch eventually ends up somewhere. Landfills are filling up. Oceans are drowning in plastic. And recycling barely makes a dent. So what if we stopped trying to hide our garbage and decided to destroy it instead? What if we dumped it all into volcanoes? They're hot enough to melt rock itself. So maybe they could melt our problems too. But could this actually work? Or would it make everything worse? Has anyone ever tried it? And seriously, how would we even transport billions of tons of trash to an active volcano without setting off a global disaster? Before we dive into the molten science behind this idea, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It really helps this channel grow and lets us keep turning crazy ideas into science. On paper, it sounds perfect. A self-sustaining, natural incinerator that doesn't need fuel, electricity, or maintenance. Volcanoes are literally nature's way of recycling the planet, melting, reshaping, rebuilding. So why not use them to get rid of the billions of tons of trash we generate every year? The logic feels simple. If a volcano can destroy mountains, it can handle a few tons of plastic and metal, right? Well, not exactly. The first problem is temperature. Lava flows at around 1,000 to 1,200 degrees Celsius, hotter than an industrial furnace, but still not hot enough to destroy everything. Plastic and organic waste would melt instantly, sure. But metals, glass, and chemicals, they'd barely change. Instead of disappearing, most trash would simply float on the surface, releasing toxic gases like hydrochloric acid, dioxins, and carbon monoxide into the air. You wouldn't be cleaning the planet, you'd be creating a cloud of poison above it. In other words, you didn't solve pollution. You just changed its form. Okay, but let's imagine we still try. How would we actually get our trash to the volcano? There are around 1,500 active volcanoes on Earth, most in remote regions or islands. You'd have to haul millions of tons of waste across oceans and mountains, burning unimaginable amounts of fuel in the process. And once you're there, dumping cold, wet trash into molten lava doesn't end quietly. It triggers massive steam explosions as water instantly vaporizes. In 2002, scientists in Hawaii actually tested this, throwing small samples into flowing lava. The reaction was so violent it blasted debris hundreds of meters into the air. So no, volcanoes don't absorb trash, they reject it with explosive consequences. So let me ask you something. If you had to pick one extreme solution to deal with Earth's waste, would you rather launch it into space or dump it into volcanoes? Tell me in the comments. I'm curious to see what side science fans take. Let's say, somehow, a full garbage truck actually makes it into a volcano. What happens next? At first, the outer layers ignite. Then, gases and pressure build up. But deeper layers don't melt, they harden. The trash forms a floating crust that cools and thickens, eventually clogging the lava flow beneath. Instead of solving the problem, you just turned a volcano, one of the most powerful natural systems on Earth, into a massive, stinking landfill of stone. But here's the interesting part. Volcanoes can help us deal with trash, just not the way you think. Scientists are studying how to use geothermal energy from volcanic areas to power advanced plasma furnaces. These systems reach over 5,000 degrees Celsius, hot enough to separate waste at the molecular level, leaving behind only reusable gases and raw elements. So instead of dumping trash into volcanoes, we could harness their power to turn waste into energy. In other words, the future of cleaning the planet might come from the same forces that created it. So next time you see smoke rising from a volcano, don't imagine it swallowing your garbage. Imagine it powering the clean technology that could save us from it. If you learned something new today, smash that like button and subscribe to Raw Science for more mind-bending explorations into physics, biology, and human curiosity. See you next week, and remember, Sometimes, the simplest ideas hide the biggest problems.